my grandmother Benia Mae's soup recipe. She used to make this for us when we would go down to her house when we were kids. Oftentimes my Uncle Gleason would make this whenever Mama got to where she couldn't or just wasn't feeling good or whatever, but I remember her making it early on, and then later I remember him making it. But what this is ground beef, and you put raw ground beef in there. I know that sounds kind of icky for a lot of people, but that's just the way she did it. She'd slice potatoes and onions, and then she would just dump in some tomato soup, tomato paste. You can put canned tomatoes, and if you want to add anything else you can, but this is all she would put in there. And she just let that cook till the potatoes were tender. Bake a pan of cornbread, and we were ready to eat. Hey guys, I showed you how my grandma made her soup, so I'm going to show you how I make cornbread. And this is, I guess you could just call it my recipe. I learned how to do it myself from watching a variety of other people, but here's what I use for cornbread. I get my flour and meal from the local produce market here in my town. Self-rising flour and self-rising cornmeal mix. And I get a small bowl, and I usually just put about 1 cup of cornmeal mix and 1 cup of flour, because it's just me and my husband, so we won't eat no more than that. But if you're going to make it for a bigger family, then you're going to need more flour and more cornmeal mix. So once I get my flour and cornmeal in here, I'm going to mix it up really good. And put my cornmeal mix in there. So I keep a little cup inside my bag, and I know exactly how much to put, but just measure it out. You're just making cornbread for, say, 2 to 3 people. Do a cup of flour and a cup of meal. And then you're gonna put you some buttermilk in there. Here's my buttermilk. I get my buttermilk from either the produce market, or this came from Yoder's, the Amish market. And it's buttermilk with real butter flakes. So first, I'm just gonna take my spoon and mix up my cornmeal and flour mix a little. And I don't put egg or anything else in it. I just use buttermilk, and that's it. And you're gonna pour buttermilk in there and mix it until it gets kind of runny, but not really runny. You don't want it to be too thick either, just so it's with the consistency that you can pour it into your skillet. And over here, I've got some oil. I use avocado oil or extra virgin. This time I'm using avocado oil. So I've got oil in my skillet. And I'm going to put the stove on 450. And once we get it all mixed up, we're going to bake our cornbread for about 30-35 minutes. I usually check it around minute 25 to see how it looks. It's hard for me to hold my phone and mix at the same time, so that's why it's looking a little goofy. Okay, here we go. I had to stop my recording so that I could mix up my mix for my cornbread. And then I'm going to pour it in my skillet. Notice the consistency, how it's kind of runny, but not runny like water. Some people heat their oil in the oven, and I do that sometimes, but I didn't this time, so I just put it in there. And then I'm going to put the cornbread in the oven and set my timer for about 30 minutes and let that bake. Okay, my soup is cooking. I'm going to get my spoon and stir it up a little bit. See that good chunk of ground beef in there and those potatoes. I'll know it's done when that potato is kind of tender. And we will check our cornbread. Now it's baking quite nicely. I was going to switch it up today and dump a bag of peas in here after I've let this cook a little bit. Frozen peas. And mix that up. Look at our cornbread. Ooh, browning pretty nicely. So my cornbread has about 8 minutes left on the timer, so I wanted you guys to see what it looks like. And I put it on 30 minutes. And remember I told you I checked it at about the 25-minute mark. Okay, we have 7 minutes left. And ooh, it looks like it's done already. But it's probably not completely done in the middle or on the bottom, so I'm gonna leave it just a little bit longer. I have about 3 minutes left on my timer, so I'm gonna go ahead and get my bread out because look at that. It looks golden brown. Yummy. I usually take my fork and go around the edges. That way I'll know it's done because it'll just scoop right out. Oh, it looks so good. I have a plate. I'm just going to flip it onto my plate. Put this over here so it won't burn anybody. Look at that. Cornbread and soup. Ooh, look at that. Now we're almost ready to eat after we let this cool a little bit.